Hello and welcome to the DevNet YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about NVIDIA AI Enterprise and NIM. We are thrilled to have Matt Larson with us, a Global Business Development Enterprise AI at NVIDIA. Hey Matt.
Hey, how you doing, Oleksii? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today. First question, what skills or experience best prepared you for your current role?
Oh, that's a great question. I've actually been in semiconductors since I got out of school over 25 years ago. So I had a long run starting as a product engineer, and I moved into field application engineering. And then on the sales side, I was a global account manager for a good period of time. Long time ago, I was over at Freescale, former Motorola, and started up with Nvidia close to 20 years ago. I've been in the sales organization there and have had a myriad of different roles, from global account management into industry business development, and now on software business development.
Wow, amazing career path. And my question is around, how does NVIDIA inference microservices revolutionize AI model deployment and inference optimization?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's what we want to talk about today. But before I jump into everything that we've been doing with inferencing, I'd like to talk a little bit about where we got our start in AI. I think it's a pretty compelling story. So
Yeah, sure.
I started with NVIDIA, like I said, close to 20 years ago. And at the time, there was nothing about AI. We were all about accelerated compute. And we were in gaming, we were in HPC, and a myriad of other types of applications. But AI hit our radar a little over 10 years ago. And Jensen said, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And he decided to put everything in on accelerating things that were happening in the deep learning space. And what that turned into was really, groundbreaking performance on the training of deep learning models. And we continued to invest in the training side, but then we decided that we needed to, bring accelerated compute benefits to all aspects of the AI pipeline. And so the first step was to move from training onto the deployment side of the house, which is inferencing. And so that started roughly 7-8 years ago, and we deployed Triton Inference Server, which brings a significant amount of flexibility in deploying AI models. And then we brought about an SDK called TensorRT, which brings about the maximum performance for models deployed in production. GPUs have excelled in every aspect of AI, and so it made sense to invest in the inferencing side of it because performance was key. It has a direct relation to cost. So that's been in active development. Triton Inference Server, TensorRT, widely adopted across the enterprise. And so that was to the right-hand side of the AI pipeline. Then we moved to the earlier stage in data prep. And we launched an open source initiative called Rapids. We started bringing acceleration to all forms of data prep with underlying libraries like cuDF. And now we have a full platform end-to-end from data prep, training, and inferencing, bringing about all the benefits of accelerated compute. And so it's a really exciting time. Of course, when we got started, convolutional neural nets, natural language models were all the rage. And companies were working pretty hard in building their models to deploy them into production. And a lot of the big tech companies were involved. They were sucking up all the resources available to be able to take advantage of this. But the thing that was missing was the broad adoption. What was the killer app to really bring about AI and make it attractive for all enterprises, all industries? And that's what happened just recently. Kind of the Gen AI explosion. OpenAI launched out ChatGPT close to 2 years ago, and everyone started to realize the potential of AI, specifically with generative AI. And so we've been working really hard in making it easy for all industries, all applications to benefit from this new technology. And a lot of that is now packaged up in what we call these microservices. We have NVIDIA inference microservices. We like to call them NIMs. But then we also have our NEMO platform, which is end-to-end, and we have a myriad of microservices for that space as well. So it's been really exciting, right? We've gone from the really hard work in building models and deploying models to actually making it a lot easier for companies to deploy. And the thing that's made it even more exciting these days is that there's a whole community that's building large language models that's readily available for any enterprise to take, update, modify for their own use cases, and then deploy in their own space. And so the total expense of building a large language model is now being absorbed by other companies, where enterprises can benefit from those investments and focus on deploying AI to be able to get all the cost savings, better consumer experiences, all the benefits associated with it. So it's a really, really exciting time.
Yeah. Thanks for summarizes. How NVIDIA AI solution transforming day-to-day operation in traditional industries?
Oh, yeah, great question. So I can share a quick slide for you.
Yeah, sure.
Give me a second here. So in general, what we're seeing today are a handful of domains that are benefiting from Gen AI. First, on the left, we've got customer service agents, self-service, everything associated with the customer experience. We've got a lot of companies that are starting to augment their call center agents with generative AI copilots and have roadmaps to take it all the way to fully AI-enabled call centers. Really exciting stuff that's happening there. And then, of course, we've all been like super excited about what's happening on the content creation side of the house. It's absolutely unbelievable what's coming together, not just from an image perspective, but from a video perspective. It is so much fun to just type in a prompt and watch it be modified. The things that Meta is doing and all the other companies out there, it makes it available for individual consumers as well as companies to really get the benefit of just typing things in and having digital content developed really quickly with high quality. Then, of course, there's Code Assistant with software engineering. We're actually leveraging this internally for our chip design. And we're seeing a lot of other companies that are using code or code assistants to be able to help augment their software engineering teams. And then this is one that NVIDIA is using, is on the R&D side of the house, where we leverage all the information that you have to be able to help increase and execute on the design, simulation, and testing of products. So these are kind of the broad stroke domains that we're seeing. Kind of double clicking into that, and what we see from an industry perspective is, this is just a subset of all the industries in the Fortune 1000, but from finance, healthcare, retail, telecommunications, and more, they're all able to get benefits with very specific applications from AI. Finance, for a long period of time, has been leveraging AI for fraud detection, personalized banking, and that's on the consumer side of it, and then investment insights as well. Healthcare, NVIDIA, if you've been watching, we've been investing quite heavily in healthcare. We're developing very specific solutions for the space, and it's aided quite a bit in drug discovery, as well as molecule simulation, clinical trial data analysis. And as you go into the portfolio of our products, you'll see BioNeMo and other solutions that are dedicated for the healthcare space. And I can go through all of them. There are a lot of use cases here, but this is just a quick highlight of what we are seeing in the space.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting this. What you mentioned is also affected network engineers, DevOps, one of the main audience that work with Cisco devices, as well as security engineers. And what we see now in this, that a lot of people and subject matter experts start to creating their own agent or ML AI applications that help them automate and gather information based on this information that they can retrieve from API. LLMs can predict something or make automate some process. And what about where usually users run this agent? What they usually use as an infrastructure for this?
Yeah, so from an infrastructure perspective, AI, I think follows the flow of where we're seeing compute deployments, just traditional compute deployments. And there is oftentimes, an ebb and a flow from on-prem to cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud strategies. And so, I think when you look at it by industry, some industries are more data sensitive and prefer to keep everything on-prem. Public sector, FSI are primary examples of that. Anything that falls with, a high degree of data sensitivity and regulation, then you really want to keep that more in-house. The clouds are providing more secure environments, but IT strategies shift over time, and there's a cost component at play as well. And that's actually one of the things that we're focused on as a platform provider. We're enabling our technologies across all OEMs, all CSPs, in the edge. Our software runs on all types of our GPUs, and so we really do make sure that whatever we develop will fall in line with the IT strategy at the enterprise. And so what we're seeing today from a generative AI perspective, I'll pull up another quick window, is a couple of different ways that companies are able to access Gen AI. And what we talked about before, there was managed services that came out about 2 years ago, and that represents really the quickest and easiest way to get up and running. And that's what's on the left-hand side of this slide here. And so the managed services have easy to use APIs. They're really, really fast. There are some challenges. Of course, you're dependent on the infrastructure strategy of that managed service. Your data and your prompts, aren't entirely in-house. And overall, you're going to be, restricted in terms of what they're providing and the capabilities of those solutions. Now, I think it's important to highlight, we love the managed services. All of them are leveraging our platform. And so they are actually deploying very, very high quality solutions. But in the case of an enterprise wanting to have a little more control over their AI development and deployments, we see that people are looking to do it themselves. Now, the benefits of that, I mentioned already, you can then, if you build it on your own, you can build it on your own infrastructure, whether you're dedicated to a cloud or you have your own on-prem infrastructure. So that's a good benefit. You can also ensure that everything, all your data, is entirely managed, entirely secure. Yeah. But then, of course, there's work that you have to do to bring about the performance, right? You have to do the optimization, you have to build the custom code, you've got to maintain all those solutions. That requires a fair degree of both developer and IT proficiency, which is hard to find these days. And so what we've been working on is finding that middle ground between a fully managed service and a full DIY solution. And that's really what the NVIDIA NIM represents. And so, we've been building for quite a long period of time. I mentioned the inference work that we've done is 7-8 years in development. Now what the microservice does is it packages up all that work into a single container that has an API call and is incredibly easy to use. And it's not just easy to use, right? I'll walk down. So first on the left, what we have are pre-built containers with Helm charts. We're based around industry standard APIs. So if you've built your infrastructure around the Open AI API, that's great. Everything that you built around that, you can drop in the NIM in that application and just change the calls. We'll be supporting custom models. We'll have domain-specific code. And the big, big benefit is NVIDIA will be doing the optimization on those models on our GPUs. And so you no longer have to put that hard work in to optimize the model on the various GPUs. and then continually update that over time based on the application and environment, NVIDIA is taking ownership of that. And so that's a really exciting advancement. So that's the package, that's what's in it. What the benefits bring are you can now deploy this anywhere. On-prem, cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, everything I mentioned earlier. Because we've done that packaging, it allows you to get to market significantly faster, right? And so when you look at it from a developer perspective, if you're building an application, there are tons of models that are out there available to you. Mistral, Mixtral, Llama, the list goes on. Now you get to choose what model best suits your application, what best suits your goals, and pick the NIM that has that model and go. So you have a lot of choice as a developer. That, of course, is going to be optimized for throughput and accuracy. And then the next big benefit, we talked about the benefits for the developer. What I'm most excited about, aside from all that core technology making all of a sudden easy to use, is now the IT organization has a solution. No matter what decisions they make to define their IT strategy, the work that their developers did can follow it. IT no longer has to say, oh, my developers built something and it only runs in one location. They now have the ability to say, great, developers, you did a good job. We're going to shift a strategy, but we now know that that application will be able to follow it. So really, really cool advancements in the world of AI. Here's another quick snapshot, just an example of all the technology that we have in here. Standard APIs, I mentioned it, but then when you look under the Triton inference server on the left, cuDF, CV CUDA, Dolly, Nickel, post-processing decoders, all of this work is like the core underlying libraries at NVIDIA that have made our platform so successful. That's now packaged up within this microservice. You can go to the right-hand side, you've got cuBOS, cuDNN, in-flight batching, memory optimization, FP8 quantization. All that stuff is very, very difficult to do. Our core engineers have been building it over the years. Now it's just in a simple package, easy to use. And I'll show you a few more slides just to show the complexity of deploying AI. So if you're going to do it yourself, and I'll go through this quickly, it's a lot of work. You got to download your model. You got to install the TRT engine. You got to compile the model for your specific hardware. You got to set up Triton. You got to test the model for accuracy and performance. You then have to build the container, install Triton, install TRT, compile the model, write the APIs, continually update all of that work, patching it for security breaches, all that stuff, and then run the container. That's what you have to do to build one application. Then you got to repeat the process for any new model that you pull in, every GPU that you're going to deploy on, every instance type that you deploy on, and any new application. It's a ton of work. Now with the microservice, you can cut out a significant chunk of that. You pull the model, you test it, make sure that you're getting the throughput and the accuracy you're looking for, and you run it. And so all of a sudden, this big world of high technology has become so much easier to integrate and deploy, easier than it ever has been. We do like to say we've taken it from 1 week to 5 minutes to get started. And there's a lot of detail here. I'm happy to answer questions if people want to hit me up after this broadcast. But you can see just right at the top, 5 minutes on a NIM, 1 week if you're using Triton and TRT open source. So a huge amount of work to make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, amazing. We observe that a lot of developers, customers, trying to optimize different Gen AI models, their performance by fine-tuning or retrieval augmented generation. How exactly NIM can help us in this, in RAG, in fine-tuning model?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I did mention that we're kind of, we're focused front to back, right? I'll show you another slide on that. There's a few approaches to be able to go from what I characterize as vanilla, right? If you're just taking a foundation model and deploying it in production without doing any augmentation, you're going to get vanilla results. Enterprises, of course, want to, have the responses aligned with their brand, ensure that it is not hallucinating and putting out bad results. I mean, these are, enterprises. They're sensitive and they want to make sure that the outputs are clean. And so one of the easiest steps is to take a foundation model that's packaged up in a NIM and then, RAG. Again, I'm sure you've heard RAG, retrieve, augment, and generate. What we have is a microservice that we call retriever to support that. And so that's essentially saying you get the output of your data or output of the model, and then you cross-reference it with your data through a vector database. And then what goes out to the end user has been enhanced to align with your priorities. So that's the easiest step. Now, if you want to go a little bit further, you can rock back and start fine-tuning those models and then pushing those out into production. We do see that as an evolution. You start by using RAG, which is on the deployment side of the house, and then you move into the training and customization frame, where we'll have solutions called like NIMO Customizer. And that will help companies augment the model itself, not the results of the model, but the model itself with their own data. So when they go in that deployment phase, it'll be more aligned with the company itself. And you can see here, I've said it a few times, we're front to back, data prep with NIMO Curator. We've got training and customization with Customizer Evaluator. And then as we get into deployment, Retriever, guardrails, and NIMs. So a full platform. Platform's called NIMO. NIMs are a part of that, the NVIDIA Inference Microservice.
Yeah, cool. And I also saw on your previous slide that you provide security and CVE scanning.
That's right.
So it's some kind of security service that embedded directly in NIM. Am I right?
Yeah, it's not embedded in the NIM itself. It's scans that we do on our side of the house. And this came about with the initial offerings of what we have in the NVIDIA AI Enterprise subscription. And so we've got our own container repository that we call NGC. There's a healthy amount of technology included in NGC in the AI Enterprise catalog. And those containers are largely available open source. You can just download them and use them. But what we do with AI Enterprise to meet the needs of the enterprise is, rather than just pushing a new version of the container out every month, which is what we do on the open source side of the house, for the enterprise side of the house, we're providing true enterprise grade software. And so that means we push new containers out regularly, but we're locking in production branches. And so the first production branch will go out, we'll keep it running for 9 months. And during that 9-month period, we'll be doing continuous security scans. If there's any breaches, any CVEs that are exposed, we'll patch them and redeploy that container while guaranteeing API stability. We're also putting bug fixes into those containers, and so they continually get enhanced, but you can have the confidence because of that API stability, you're not disrupting the larger software ecosystem. And so we'll be maintaining those for 9 months at a time, and then re-releasing every 6 months with all the new feature updates. And so you have a 3-month overhang to update your infrastructure. And that's the stuff that we're going to be bringing to NVIDIA NIMs as well. And so I'm glad you brought it up, because NVIDIA NIMs is actually the first software offering exclusively available under the NVIDIA AI Enterprise subscription. And so, we do all the hard work to package it up and maintain it. And so we then offer it up as a subscription. And so it comes with the enterprise grade software that I just referenced, but it also comes with full enterprise grade support. And so that comes with SLAs. If you have any challenges, depending on the severity level, we're committed to getting back to you and helping resolve that problem within a stated period of time. And we have a few packages associated with that. And so, yeah, this is a very cool advancement as well, because in the past, developers were doing a lot of DIY and a whole lot of self-support. And so when we look at it in a production environment, there's a lot of sensitivities to it. You're committing on AI, the highest technology that you can put in your data center. If you don't have support, it's going to be fairly risky. And now NVIDIA is offering it. So who best to depend on for the absolute best in performance and optimizations, maintenance. And then if you do have any problems, you get to call us. And the way that we're structured, our support line can actually talk to anybody in our software organization and get back to you really, really quickly.
Yeah, amazing. We have 2 minutes left, and my last question: which Gen AI tools and large language models do you use in your daily routine?
Oh, for me, I'm jumping all around. One of the most exciting things that we have available, we launched a domain at GTC earlier this year. It makes total sense that NVIDIA would have this domain. It's called ai.nvidia.com. That is our landing page for all AI experiences. And if you go in there, if you click on a model, it'll take you to a subsequent page called build.nvidia.com. And within that, you'll see all the models that are hosted in our API catalog. And so there's a vast majority of models that are hosted, and you can play around and experience them. You can create images with a couple of different models. Of course, you can use all the language side. Sorry, are you still there? Yeah, okay. So you can create images, you can do standard prompts, and just get the results and experiences from all the different models. Within that, of course, we're going to have all the models up there that we're supporting. We do have the ability for you to download those models. Not all of them, because we're still working on NIMifying every single model that's out there. And so there's 20 plus models that you can that are available for download today. And so when you click on that, you say, I want to download it. It'll quick ask you, if you want a developer license, which is free, can't use it for production, but you have full access to it, or a 90-day trial, which gets you full support as well, that SLA support line that I was talking about. And so I would highly encourage people to go to build.nvidia.com, play around with things, and just get a full experience to what we're doing with this platform.
Yeah, cool. I will add this link to video description. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for mentioning this. Okay, thank you, Matt, for your time and for your great presentation and answering my question.
Yeah, you bet. It's great to be here. I'll talk